after the government imposed prohibitory orders in the most affected districts reeling under coronavirus, the infection has ceased to relent as the country witnessed the highest single-day surge and number of deaths yesterday. On equally depressing note, the government's priority still seems to be politics as CPN Maos decided to withdraw the support in the wake of Premier Oli deciding to move the motion for a floor test. Good morning, I'm Sarah Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. The country records the highest number of infections and deaths due to COVID-19. 55 COVID patients succumbed to the virus while over 7,500 test positive. Maoist Centre to withdraw its support to the incumbent government. Nepali Congress too decides to thwart the Premier's plan for a confidence vote. US President Joe Biden lays out plans to vaccinate 70% of US adults by 4th of July and roll out the jabs for 12 to 15-year-olds at the earliest. And Manchester City storm into their maiden Champions League final with a crushing 4-1 aggregate win over PSG. Nepal reported both the highest daily coronavirus deaths and positive cases yesterday. 55 individuals succumbed to the virus while 7,587 tested positive for the virus yesterday. The country recorded over 7,000 cases of COVID-19 for the third consecutive day yesterday as 16,131 samples were tested through the PCR method. Kathmandu Valley alone registered 3,893 cases. According to the Health Ministry, there are 59,798 active cases at the moment, while 253 individuals are in various quarantine centers across the country. Meanwhile, 1,775 individuals have registered full recovery, taking the total recoveries to 287,790. The recovery rate has dropped to 82%. According to the ministry, 616 patients are receiving treatment in intensive care units, while 179 are on ventilator support. The local administrations of all three districts in the Kathmandu Valley have decided to extend the ongoing prohibitory order by one more week. The meeting of chief district officers of all three districts held yesterday afternoon decided to extend the ongoing prohibitory order until 12th of May. The meeting has also decided to limit the operation hour for groceries and essentials shops to 2 hours. These outlets will only be allowed to open from 7 to 9 in the morning. Likewise, banks and financial institutions have been directed to operate with minimum staff. Local authorities have prepared to take actions against members of public who defy the prohibitions. Rural areas in hilly and mountainous regions have begun reporting of a surge in COVID-19 cases as the government has failed to manage people entering the country through border transits with India. The Jhulaghat border transit in Darchula and Baitari, Garda Chowki transit in Kanchanpur, Trinagar Gaurifanta transit in Kailali, Jamunaha in Banke, Krishnanagar of Kapilvastu, Belaiya of Rupandehi, Birganj in Parsa, Kakadbitta in Jhapa and Rani in Biratnagar, among other transits, have remained open to anybody entering the country from India despite the rising threat of coronavirus. Many entering from these transits have been allowed to return to their communities without health checkups. As a result, the virus has been detected in the rural villages of hilly regions. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli on Monday had directed concerned local authorities to keep those entering from the transits in holding centers and conduct a PCR test before letting them return to their communities. The holding centers, however, are not prepared as of yet, while health checkups have been carried out in a random manner. Meanwhile, the health experts opine the arriving individuals should be kept in holding centers for at least a week, saying that medical examinations alone are not sufficient to prevent the virus spread. Experts have also warned the prohibitory orders in place in many districts at the moment could be rendered ineffective if the negligence in cross-border movement continues. It may be recalled during the first wave of the pandemic, individuals entering through the borders had to stay in quarantine for 2 weeks before returning to their homes. This time around, the three tiers of government have remained indifferent, towards proper management at border areas, adding to the risk in hilly districts. In this scenario, there is a call for all local levels, especially in the border regions, to implement strict measures to aid the country's battle against COVID-19. The Standing Committee meeting of CPN Mao Centre has decided to withdraw the party's support to the incumbent government. The meeting held yesterday at party office in Peristada decided it will inform the Parliament Secretariat of the decision. The meeting also termed the reappointment of Lumbini Chief Minister Shankar Pokhrel as unconstitutional, stating that the meeting of the House of Representatives has been summoned for next week. With vested interest of the Prime Minister, the party urged the political parties and democratic forces to unite against the unconstitutional activities of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. Meanwhile, the main opposition Nepali Congress has decided to thwart Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's attempt to win confidence vote from the House of Representatives. The meeting of party's office bearers held yesterday afternoon expressed its dissatisfaction over convening special session of the lower house at a time when a regular session is required. With this, both the opposition parties have stood against the confidence vote. Janata Samajwadi Party, meanwhile, has remained indecisive on whether it wants to support or stand against the current government. Premier Oli will need support from Janata Samajwadi Party to win the confidence vote. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked in Janakpur why have local levels not shown as much effort to contain the second wave of coronavirus pandemic as they did during the first wave. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
कोरोनाले यत्रो रूप धारण गर्छ भनेर समुचित आंकलन गर्न नसकेर पूर्व केही तयारी गर्न नसकेको
उहाँहरुको तपाईको समाजमा हुनुपर्ने भूमिकामा राखौं कि नगण्य मात्रामा 0% जति तपाईको उहाँको योगदान तपाईको हेरिरहेछु
उपचारको लागि पनि जान्छ अस्पतालमा त सुनसुकी वाला ग्यास अक्सिजन पाइरहेको छैन कुन डाक्टरसँग मिल्ने के गर्ने कहाँ गर्ने अल्पत्रमा बिमारीहरु छ यहाँ
सरकारको के कसो छ हामीहरु चाहिँ हामीहरुको सक्रियता छ हामीहरु निभाइरहेका छौं हामीहरुको एउटा डिस्टेन्सन दूरीमा बसेका छौं कुनै काम गर्दाखेरि हामी आफ्नो हिसाबले गरिरहेका छौं
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where text us with your opinion. Here's the question: what should be done to discourage hoarding of oxygen cylinders? The options are A. Raise awareness, B. Police should confiscate hoarded cylinders, and C. Local levels should manage distribution. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And those were our latest headlines. Our next English bulletin will be at 11 a.m. Stay safe and take care.